What I have here are a pair of iPod Touch units. This one is not mine. This one is mine. This is a newer one. This is the 4th generation that I unboxed in a video. This was the subject of my first iPod video. I'm going to take off the cover because I believe it's still visible. I'm not sure though. Yeah, there's a dent in the back. You can very clearly see it. And it's scratched up. It's a 32 gig model. So it was not cheap. It's not the cheapest. It's not the most expensive, but it's definitely not the cheapest either. I believe the most expensive was a 64 gig at this point. Same thing with this one. I know that this was the middle of the road. This is a 32 gig model. There's cat hairs all over the place. Even though the cat's not even in here. This was run through a washing machine and a dryer. And it did not work even after putting it in a bowl of rice or a bag of rice. So I went and got this to replace it. It's been reliable. Very reliable indeed. And then my father took this to the Apple store, and presumably for a very hefty price, I have no idea how much he paid to fix it, but he got a replacement. At least I think it's a replacement. Yeah, you can see me in the reflection. Maybe it's just a replacement logic board. I have no idea. I don't care. But this has just basically become the general use. Throw this thing around the house, and this one just sits underneath my desk, underneath my table, and doesn't really do anything. I've never used it. My iTunes library is not on there, or at least not an updated one. But it works. It still works quite well. You can see I have a picture of the cat there, 2 pictures of the cat, and it is used. I actually use this to do my, or I did at one point use it to do my video everyday project, which seems to have fallen off because I can't seem to upload the videos. I don't know why. It's actually quite odd. I wonder if I still have the one on here that I tried. Last one that I tried. I might not. Yeah, no, I don't think I do. Anyway, so there's the cat. And all that other stuff. Yeah, no, I don't. But everything is organized like this. I have 1 page worth of apps. And it's actually running, let's see if I can pull up the information here. It's iOS 4. I'm not running iOS 5 or even iOS 6. Let's see here. What on here is also important. There is the model of this particular unit, MC544C. It is running iOS 4.3.3. And there's the MAC address and the serial number. Don't go looking that up. The time is wrong, so I should go fix that. Yeah, the time is definitely wrong. Set date and time. It is 2:49, not 2:52. There's that one. There's really nothing much to say about it. It's just like any other typical old iPod. I used to know exactly what processor. I believe this is an A4 processor. This thing has an A4 chip in it. Although I could be wrong and probably am, so don't rip me apart for it in the comments because I have absolutely no idea. Not big on the processors behind these mobile devices, and to be honest, I could care less. Because as long as they work, that's all I care about. I don't use them for very much. The camera still is pretty nice. It's a high-definition camera. No zoom in video mode, which ticks me off, but that's that. Does not have Siri, which is to be expected. Now to this one. You can see by a thickness comparison, let's see if I can actually do this. If you take a look, you can tell which one is obviously thicker, or maybe not on camera, but I can tell. This one definitely has a lot more heft to it. And that makes sense because it's older. It's thicker. This case is actually ripped there. And it is see-through. These lines are actually clear, transparent, or translucent. And that is the silver from the backing that you're seeing. The brightness is turned all the way down for some reason. And the time is also off. And apparently it was watching a Ray William Johnson video. Okay, let's turn the brightness up so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, that's sound. Oops. By comparison, let's take a look here. This one has a much cooler tint to it than this new one. And ironically, I think the older one is actually about as bright. Oh, they're both about the same in terms of brightness. There's no difference there. But this one is not organized. There are 100,000 different pages of apps, which takes a lot of getting used to. And it is going to need to be updated. 47 updates, holy crap. Back into the settings. Let's take a look at the about here. This is an MC008LL. And there's the serial number. It is running iOS 4.3.3. And it is still working. There's nothing wrong with it, per se. It is old, and it is heavy. The battery life is not that great, because it has been used. What else? Oh yeah, the updates. Get in here and update it. So I will get that started. That's an interesting thing to be searching up. Okay then. Great, I guess. 61 updates. Yeah, that's how many that it needs to do. So let me get that started. Mixology, drink and cocktail recipes free, contains age-restricted material. Tap OK to confirm that you are 17 or over. Well, I'm not, but I suppose it can't hurt anything. I might get arrested now, but whatever. It's not my iPod, so what do I care? Maybe the audio will sound a little bit different in this part of the video, because I turned wind cut off. All wind cut on this JVC camera is just a high-pass filter, so it makes everything sound tinny. I apologize for that. And I don't know if it sounds any better right now, and I don't particularly care. But I decided to look up the specs for both of these iPod devices while I'm waiting for that piece of crap to do updates. Get out of my face. So this is for the third generation, the MC008LL, which is the one that I am doing the updates on. It was introduced in 2009 and discontinued in 2010, a year later. It has one Samsung ARM processor running at 800 megahertz. It has 256 megs of memory on board. And there is no 8 gigabyte option. This is the low end of the two. It is a 32 gig, so it's the low end model. It's that one. Multi-touch, 3.5-inch display. What else? It has 802.11b or G capability, so it's not that great. Bluetooth 2.1. About approximately 30 hours of battery life. Not anymore, but that's what it used to have. It can run up to iOS 5.1.1, so it cannot run iOS 6. Came with iOS 3, or iPhone OS 3. What else? Is there any other information? Yeah, so it still holds its value. Would have been about $300 when it was new, and it's about 175 or 250 today. What about this one, mine, the one that I have? The one that I have is running an A4, an 800 megahertz A4. It's about the same, 256 megs of memory. They added the 8 gig option, introduced in September of 2010 and discontinued in October of 2011, when I believe they introduced the current model. Yeah, I believe they introduced the current model in October of 2011. the iPod 5th generation. Case is slightly smaller. It's the same size. It has a Retina display. The old one does not. And it also adds 802.11n capabilities. A much longer lasting battery. About 10 extra hours. Would have shipped with iOS 4.1. So it would have shipped running iOS 4. And it's kind of holding its value. Not nearly as well as the other one. Mainly because they're common, so they're everywhere. Basically. iPod Touch 5th generation. That would be the current gen. Oh. Apparently I missed one. Did they not make one? That's odd. Yeah, that is odd. Okay. That is interesting. The heck is going on here? All iPod models. Okay, let's take a look at all iPod models. I have no idea what I'm even doing. iPod, iPod Touch, 3rd generation, 8 gig, 2nd gen, original. That's what the original iPod Touch looked like. Basically, it was an iPhone without the phone. Oh, 3rd gen with FaceTime. Okay. So there were basically 3 different iPod 4th generation models. So that's the 3rd generation 8 gig model. So there was an 8 gig model for the 3rd gen. And the difference is that it has a slower processor and less memory. I believe that's the only difference. Yeah, I think that's the only difference between the two. And the other difference is that it is not capable of running higher than iOS 4.2. So it cannot run iOS 4.3. Unlike mine, which can. Or the one that I have, which can do that. This is the 2011 model. Basically the same damn thing. There's no difference. I don't know what the heck the difference is supposed to be. I suppose the only difference is that it shipped with iOS 5 instead of... Oh, and the other big difference is that it shipped with a white model instead of just the black model, which mine was. That makes more sense. Okay. Then the 5th generation, what they have now, 32 gig and a 64 gig. They do not have the 8 gig and they don't have the 16 gig anymore. Which is interesting. Housing color. Colors! It has a 1 gigahertz A5 and 512 megs of RAM. That's what the new one has. So it would be a lot faster than the ones that I have. But I don't have one and I don't particularly want one. One other thing that might be worth noting is that the display on the non-retina, well, the non-retina display is an obviously brighter hue of black, or greenish black, than the retina display. Just thought that was interesting, figured to throw it out there.